My name is Ryan Porter. I am the CEO and one of the founders of Ruutly.com.
All right. So Ryan, why were you looking to hire a design partner?
Yes, so this is the second product that we've built. And the first product we did it kind of like the Hacker News, like traditional style, the way that everyone tells you to build a company. You get an idea, you get a little bit of traction, you get investment, and then you build a product and you build a team around that. And so this time when we were building this product, Ruutly, we really wanted to focus on building a product that was cash flow positive from day one and that we were in total control of as we slowly built this thing out. And in order to do that, we didn't hire 10 developers and 4 designers and 7 salespeople. We needed to keep the team super lean, and I know that means like frugal and like some people might call it cheap and some people, I don't know how everyone would call it, but like we wanted to keep the team as lean as possible, and we couldn't, like frankly, afford to hire a full-time designer. And so what we did is we started casting the line to try to figure out, well, who's out there, not just an agency, like in the agency world, but individual designers. And we looked overseas and like we hit up Dribbble and like we contacted dozens and dozens of agencies and individual designers to figure out who's out there and what are they doing. And then the main reason was to keep that bottom line as lean as possible for us.
Okay, so what was the biggest design problem that you were trying to solve with the product?
Yeah, so the biggest design problem was trying to come up with something that that communicated a bunch of traditional information in a very digestible, bite-sized, new age way. And so what I mean is, and I don't know if this will make it into the video or not, but you think about like what Ruutly.com does. It takes traditional job postings that haven't changed in the last 2 to 3 decades and applies modern design, modern UX, and modern interaction into it so that a user can go through, an applicant or a candidate can go through and digest a job posting in the way that they want to digest that job posting. And so if they're on mobile, that means lots of swiping and lots of clicking and lots of like interacting with that. And on desktop, that means seeing something that looks beautiful and interacts the way that they expect it to interact. And it wasn't a design challenge, although I can do basic design. It wasn't a design challenge that I was equipped to tackle. We wanted to get people who understood not just the design problem in itself, but the design problem in itself, plus that had the experience of working with a bunch of companies that could be able to use that product or that would fit the profile of a company that could use that product.
That's a great answer. Okay, so after reaching out to all these different people and casting out that big line, you decided to work with UX Labs. Why?
Yeah, so as I said, we reached out to these different companies and different designers in different parts of the globe. So like we talked to people in Poland, we talked to people in Latvia, we talked to people in the US, we talked to people around Canada, we talked to like people literally all over the world. And one of the things that we realized is that it was, for us, it was actually kind of important to have people that were close to home. Although technology can fill in a lot of blanks and a lot of gaps, and it can shrink the world down to the size of a chat window, we felt it was important to be able to meet face to face. For this design challenge in particular, I'm not saying that's for every design challenge, but for this one in particular, we wanted to be able to sit down and break bread with these people, and we wanted to be able to whiteboard it out, and we wanted to be able to get in each other's faces to figure out what's the best way to approach these problems. And so that was one of the key things. Is one, we wanted to have them actually local. The other thing is we wanted to have more than just a designer. Although we definitely believe that a designer is great and can fill in the gaps and the blanks, we thought it was kind of cool that UX had a couple of different pieces that brought along a little bit more of a kind of like a collaborative resume. Like, okay, we've got someone who does this thing, we also have someone who's done all of these things, and together we can actually help serve this problem using a variety of lenses, which was important for us because it wasn't just a UX challenge. This was a UX and a design thinking and a shift in corporate policy. It had to adhere to compliance. Like there's a bunch of moving pieces, and we wanted to make sure we had the people that had the experience to support that. So those were the 2 main reasons that we ended up going with UX. One of the other things that that we thought about was, how are people actually treating us? So out of the 24 or so that we actually sent out formal requests to, there's only like 2 or 3 that actually met with us, and then responded with like, here's what we understand from our meeting. Here's what we've kind of teased out as the things that you're trying to accomplish, and here's exactly how we're going to help you accomplish those things. You know, that document that we received served as like a key piece for us making the decision, right? It might seem trivial to some people, but like other people were responding with an email like, yeah, that would cost $5,000. And I was like, cool, but like you didn't actually tell us what you understand about what we told you about this problem. And one of the things that was interesting for UX is like you guys digested what we told you and you sent it back to us saying, here's what we understand, or here's how we're interpreting what you said about this problem. And then we were able to use that as kind of a foundation for the relationship.
That's great. So interesting to hear this stuff, by the way. Like, forget the video for a second.
Yeah.
It's really, it's critical for me to hear these things. I wish I'd talked to you earlier. I asked you these questions a long time ago. It's kind of silly. Okay, there's only 2 questions left. So we're way ahead of time. So,
Good.
How did it go in your own words?
Yeah, so I think the process was completely in line with our own internal processes. Like it didn't feel necessarily like that we were working with these aliens who didn't understand. Hold on. So the process itself went pretty much the same way our own internal process would have went had we had our own design team on staff. And what I mean by that is like it wasn't perfectly smooth and they understood everything and UX just got everything right from the beginning because it never works that way. It wouldn't work that way internally. And so the way that we work internally is like we have this idea and we have a hypothesis of how to solve that or how to address that idea or ship that idea or design that idea. And then we ship it and then we all dissect it. And sometimes that means that like one person is clearly right and everybody has no idea what they're talking about. Everybody else has no idea what they're talking about. Or other times it means that like everybody's kind of right. And it's up to us as a collaborative effort to like kind of duke it out a little bit. Like make your case and stand your ground on what it is that you believe. And sometimes that meant that UX got it completely right from the beginning. Other times it meant that like they weren't necessarily wrong, but based on our experience and the things that we know that our clients are looking for, we need to stand our ground and kind of be hard-headed about that a little bit. And then place all of the evidence on the table, make the case for it, and then come together to come to a solution. And we did that. Like there were multiple times where it was like, I believe this. Well, I believe this, in my experience, it should be like this. Well, the data says this. And then we kind of like hashed it out the way that a team, I believe, should hash it out. And then we came to the conclusion in the design application that made most sense for our product. And like I said, sometimes it was perfectly smooth. It was check, 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 check. Other times it was like, check, let's address this. I don't really believe this is right. Check, check. And then we circled back on the things that needed us to kind of hash out a little bit more in more detail. And sometimes that meant that something was shipped, like not shipped in terms of us writing the code for it, but a design was actually pushed to us. And although in the room as a group, we believed that that was the right way to go, when we saw the application, we saw it like manifested, we're like, actually, no, this isn't the way that this should be. Give that feedback, hash it out again, and then iterate and push the next one out. And we came to the conclusion, we ended up shipping the product that we were completely confident in. And like, I believe that's what it should be. Like, I believe design process isn't like, we're the designers, we're gonna tell you how to design, whether that's UX design, whether that's wireframing, UI, whatever, like design thinking, all that stuff. I don't believe it's designers stepping in the room saying, hey, we know what you guys should be doing for your product. I believe it's everyone throw everything on the table, start kind of drawing the relationships, matching up those pieces, connecting the dots, and then pushing out the best product for everybody. And I believe that's what we did.
So right. That's so true. That's exactly how I feel. Where is Ruutly today?
Great question. So since shipping Ruutly, we've been through.
I'm gonna ask that question again, because it'd be cool to say how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Given that it just so happens to be about a year.
About a year in terms of design.
Yeah. So you could even tell that, like, just say from the time
we started working to the time we shipped.
from the time that we shipped till what now? Like, just I guess in your own words, just like your mini narrative. What happened? I'm also curious. Like, what happened from the time that the engagement finished to
Yeah, like
today?
Okay, so let me just kind of go through this kind of chronologically in my head. So we started working together in the summer. This is me just thinking out loud. This doesn't.
Yeah.
We started working together in the summer. We shipped the product on October 2nd. And so that was us. Remember, September was a working month, and then October was an iterating. September was the working month, and then October was the delivery month.
Yeah.
So we actually shipped October 2nd, and yeah.
So it's just, there's been like
October, November, December,
7,
January, February,
8
March,
months.
April, May, June. So 9 months.
Yeah.
So yeah.
About that.
Okay. All right. So we shipped Ruutly about 9 months ago. And since then, we've been working with some incredible companies that I can name and some incredible companies that I can't name because of the nature of this business. But we're working with global companies, Fortune 40 companies, Fortune 10 companies who are now using Ruutly as a piece of their candidate experience platform, as piece of their talent acquisition strategy, where they're now using it to communicate the wonderful things about their company and the positions available within their company to the world. It's really interesting for us to see that get shipped, and really interesting to see how it's solving such a real need for companies. And yes, some companies see it and they'll have some like design questions or recommendations, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad design or that it isn't meeting the exact need that they have. When you're working with something that's so design heavy, I believe, especially if you're pushing it off to a consumer or a B2B play like us, people are always going to let their like personal design preferences kind of creep into the process, where they're like, well, I believe this button should be like this shape or this color or should behave this way. But then we're able to step in and say, hey, that's great that you think that. We're happy to test that, but let us tell you about our experience and let us tell you why we made this decision. And like, not only do we have us to rely on, we also have all of the conversations that we went through with UX to lean on and say, here's why we made these design decisions. And we have yet to have a case where we lay it out why we made that design decision, and someone says, oh no, I still don't believe that. I think it should be our way. We have yet to encounter that. When we usually make the case, they'll say, oh, I totally get that. That makes total sense now that you put it that way. And we have data to back it up now that the product's been in the wild, and we get to see how people are interacting with it. So we launched it 9 months ago. We've made a few slight iterations and a few slight tweaks to it. But for the most part, it's remained the way that it was delivered to us. And it's been a massive hit with the companies who are using it. And we also see it impacting the lives of the people who are using it on the candidate side. It's impacting their lives and the experience that they're having as they're applying to these companies. So it's been a huge home run for us.